Hello, hello, and we are live. And I just have the game in the background in a new area, just while I sort everything out, and then we'll jump into the plan today. So yeah, basically the plan today is to implement jewelry making and see how it goes. Just making sure everything is coming through. This looks good. There we go. Cool, so the first thing I wanted to do, and I thought could be pretty cool, is to show kind of a few of the things I've been working on. So I've been mostly traveling recently, but in game, I don't know if you saw that, I have added the stamina skill. So you'll notice that I'm now passively regenerating my stamina. The speed at which your stamina regens is dependent on two things. It's dependent on A, your stamina level, and then B, it is dependent on whether you are moving or not. So as you'll notice, it generates relatively slow because I'm quite low level, but if I turn it off, I will walk. I've also enabled True Tile, which is this kind of teal tile that you can see here, which is where my character model is on the server, just so you can really see the difference between walking and running. So walking is 1 tile per tick, and then if I turn run on, just by clicking here, you'll now notice my stamina drains and I move at 2 tiles per tick. And obviously if I choose a distance like 5 tiles or 3 tiles that is an odd number, what'll happen is that final tile I'll just move a standard 1 tile per tick movement. And the next thing about stamina is that you get 10 stamina XP every 10 tiles traveled. This is the same mechanic in Damascus, which means your XP rates are dependent on whether you're walking or running. Obviously, if you're always running, you are gaining stamina at a slightly faster rate. Overall, it is quite a slow skill in the end game. We're probably going to add agility courses or different ways that you can train it, probably a mini game, that sort of thing. That's a little bit more interesting than just moving around. However, we've always liked it as a kind of permanent passive XP. As you can see, the XP drop for stamina is just constantly going off, which can be quite satisfying because it basically means no matter what you're doing in the game, questing, running around, it doesn't really matter. You're always gaining a small amount of experience points. Another thing I'm trying out is I'm just trying out the distance fog, kind of at the distance that the TAA was giving me trouble last time to prevent this kind of like flickering in the far distance. And I think that the game is looking a little bit cleaner with that change. And then probably my next favorite change is this little plus here on our minimap. Plus opens the world map, and you can just drag and scale with it, zoom obviously to see how big the game is. So this is where we are right now, chilling in Port Ptolemy. And if we go up here to Split City, this is kind of where I've been doing all of the other uh, live streams and stuff. And then if we move over here, this is actually where I've been fighting the lightning slimes quite favorably. And if we zoom out, this is the world map currently. So this gives you a little bit of a scale of the game. Otherwise quite happy. Going to basically figure out what I'm doing next while I try and figure out what to say. But basically, I just did that. The addition of the map, uh, kind of quality of life, and a little bit of code cleanup in terms of the UI positioning. But rather happy with these changes. And the next thing that I've been working on is adding jewelry making to the game, which is one of the main skills. I actually don't have the correct icons here, and I need to adjust this so this uses the correct icons for all the skills. But, pardon? That doesn't have game design yet, that's just a sprite. But the plan is to put all the daily sprites into the game at some point, but we need to figure out kind of what their stats are and where they would go thematically. And I think if we're adding the bees, I want to do a little bee kingdom with a bee man and a few other characters, and they can have a little settlement that they'll be in. Yeah. Is there a bank? I can deposit some stuff here, yeah. Another thing I want to work on is the waves over here. They're actually meant to animate. I want to bake it into the base mesh because I think that'll be very efficient. But I need to figure out how to do that in Blender. And then I also need to consider whether the animation happening globally is going to cause any problems. So a few things like that. I also have to do interiors to the houses as they're just kind of empty walls at this point. But one step at a time. Okay, there we go. So now if I walk out, my character will take his path. Yeah, so what I have here is I've got the game design doc. In fact, I can actually show the physical game design doc because I have this now. So this is the original physical game design doc, as you can see, and it actually has all of the game mechanics and initial design in kind of like classic D&D format. You're looking at that. And this is what myself and Win actually use a lot of the time when we were designing our systems, and still to this day, because it's just so informationally dense. So I've got this with me, but a virtual copy that has all of the jewelry data, and we're going to put the jewelry data into the game using our recipe generation tool, and we're going to do this for what's called a jewelry table, which is a type of skill object that, you know, in the lore of the game has all of the kind of tools that one would need to do the kind of fine detail work of creating jewelry. And then if you, the player, brings some silver or gold bars plus the requisite gemstones, and if you have the correct jewelry making level, you're then able to craft a variety of rings, amulets, and necklaces that all give various stat bonuses and can be equipped. And some of them allow you to teleport, some of them have various effects. I haven't done all of the in-game effects yet. I still need to do teleports plus a lot of the kind of charged mechanics. So we have things like certain rings will prevent you from burning food, and certain rings will give you quicker grow times on your crops. All those sorts of quality of life upgrades. Very fun. So if we check over here, this is my recipe generator scene. This does a lot for me. Basically, I've built this into a scene, so there's a few key components. One is that I can grab any of the items that I've generated here just by typing them, which is very useful. it kind of pulls all of this from the rest of the systems in game. And in fact, on that note, yeah, no, I've got every item here. Great. So this allows us to fill in all of the data to construct the JSON that we need. There's kind of two JSONs that we need that go to the server. Hello. And effectively, what we're going to do with these two JSONs that go to the server is they're going to tell the server two things. The one is going to tell the server what are the valid jewelry making recipes, what are the XP rates, and what are the server-side checks. And the second JSON is going to tell the server where are the jewelry making tables, like physically situated in game. And then obviously the client has to mirror that. So when we add them physically, we'll use our skill object placements tool, and right now when we add the recipes, we are going to just use our recipe generator. The recipes are pretty simple. I think we need to make a little bit of a game design tweak here to the recipes, and I think they will actually be fine. But yeah. I'm wondering. So maybe I can explain the game design idea that I'm kind of toying with. Previously, we had the requirement of molds, and you would create the molds from clay, and the molds would become consumed upon doing the jewelry making. Previously, the molds had charges, and the charges would deplete, and basically you could get 14 out of an inventory. But since they're consumed either way, I'm wondering, one option is to make them stackable and still have them be consumed. This is an interesting idea. Another option is to, because we were initially going to get rid of the molds entirely. What I'm kind of toying with is including the molds. So I need to make this decision now, so I'm just going to put something a little bit more entertaining on the screen while I think about this. I do like the game mechanic of using the molds. Like I feel there's something there. So I wonder if you make the molds now at a furnace, and my next question is, do you make the molds stackable, or do we just have the molds take up inventory space? I kind of lean towards inventory space. I think I'm going to try with that version first, and so I need to make some tweaks to other existing systems before we can proceed, but they should be relatively simple. Because I should be able to do this, so... I mean, the other option is to get rid of the molds entirely. Look, I actually think it's not such a big deal if I start with the molds and then we get rid of them later. It feels better to have the molds, I think. And I think possibly what we do for the mold creation, just to keep life simple, is we do it at a furnace and we just do it with clay. And then you can get a full inventory out. So the first thing we're going to do is... So this would be amulet mold, so we'll start with the ring mold. Ring mold, alk value 1, charges 0. A clay ring mold. No requirements, no tool IDs. Not food, not equipment, not jewelry. Pretty much as simple as it gets. Just make sure this is going to generate properly. There we go. Sure. Necklace mold. and amulet mold. Oop, no, no, no. Here we go. Fantastic. So now we have our ring, necklace, and amulet mold objects. And the next thing we're going to do is we're actually going to go back to our recipe generator. I'm going to do two things. We're actually going to edit the furnace recipe to include the molds. And I think the molds are probably made at level 1. So let's see how that ends up looking. So I'm going to go to well, actually, I think I just go furnace. Fantastic. So here is our traditional furnace. So now we're going to go, ingredients are going to be clay. It's always just going to be one clay. And we're going to add the output is going to be our molds. Oh, forgot to add the molds. Generators item, prefabs, take 2 seconds. There we go. Awesome. So again, we're going to load up our furnace. We're going to grab clay. So help if I make it a bit bigger. Clay is the ingredient. Our output is going to be ring mold initially. We will have no fail rate. I mean, level requirement maybe even 0. Tick rate 3, no XP. Or do we give 2 XP? I think 2 XP is fine. Because it's kind of a low XP thing that you can do. You just have to make the molds. I think that makes sense. Yeah, there we go. And then our next one will be necklace mold. Exactly the same deal. An amulet mold. Fantastic. Save our table. Awesome. So what that should do, and we'll test this in a second and then make sure it's updated on the server, is that should have added the ability to basically create molds from clay to our furnace object. The reason we want to make sure that that is available is then we're going to create the recipe table for all of jewelry making, and we just want to ensure that everything makes logical sense here. So first things first, let's actually just check this JSON we generated. So skill objects 23. Here are the recipes, and we should see there should be recipes for, yep, there we go. Here are our mold recipes. And let's do this so our scene is a little bit better. I think there's a furnace here, and I don't know, one more thing I need to do. So if we go to our UI, here is the item system. I just need to update it with the molds that we just added. Very quick, takes 2 seconds. Cool. Here's the furnace. So, if I'm lucky, this furnace will... Okay, fantastic. So, brilliantly, it has added the mold recipes, followed by the bars, which have slightly greater XP, and because we set the level of the molds to 0, they appear first. What you will notice is that I'm now missing the requirements over here for the final 3 bars, because obviously we only have 8 slots on our furnace UI object. The beauty is the system, which is automatic, as long as I provide the remaining slots, will do the rest of the work. So we'll go here to canvas. Let's just make the things we aren't working with invisible. So turn off the bank, turn off the anvil, turn off the range. I think now it's only the furnace. Fantastic. So as you can see, the 8 slots for the furnace, and now here I go recipe holders, and I've named them 1 through 10. Can I, if I plus, no. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to grab in scene, let's see. So obviously we're going to go back to our UI menu. So that's 5, 6. Okay, let's put these in the right position. So 6, 7, and 8. And then let's check the Y height. So Y height on 1 is negative 37 and negative 157. So I'm taking about 120 off. So I'm going to keep taking 120 off. So I'm going to take these 3, I'm going to copy them, and I'm going to take 120 off. So the copies now are going to go 277. As you can see, we've got perfect lines now. And then we can name these appropriately. So this would be, those are the first 10. This will be 11, 12, 13. And we just put those at the end. Now our list looks good, and we click here. So as you can see over here, I'm trying to figure out how to zoom these. It's probably a setting that I need to figure out in Unity where I can zoom so this is a little bit more legible. But basically, in the system I built, there's this recipe holders array, and we simply just drag these new recipe holders here, 11 through 13. So what this is going to do is, you'll remember we adjusted the JSON file, which is this furnace file, and that added 3 new recipes. So now what this will do is it'll just assign them, and then we can turn on all the stuff that we turned off. So everything comes back. Out of 2D mode, hit play. And now, what we should see when I click on the furnace is 13 recipes. Hey, fantastic. So, as you can see, I can take clay and I can create these ring molds with no experience, and then everything else I need to actually start bringing ores and fuel to craft the metal bars of the furnace. Now, what would be pretty useful would be to test if this works. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the master server and just cheat myself some clay, and then I'm going to test if I can craft the clay. It actually will fail because we need to update it on the world server as well. So we can actually go to the coding view for both of these changes, and we can do them right now. So first things first, let's make the world server changes. So this is the world server. We've got a JSON's skill objects furnace. Here is our old furnace. So all I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of copy replace it. So I'm going back to the Unity project. Just going to delve through all of these directories. Sweet. So copy the new one. Open this folder. Paste. Replace. Sweet. So now you see here, if we scroll down, in fact, because it's Sublime text, you can see this little green line here, which shows me changes. And you can see this has added the 3 recipes specifically for creating clay. Fantastic. So now the server will be aware that clay can be created. And we just have to restart it so that it takes that into account. Brilliant. Now we need to go to the master server, which is where the player data is stored. And we're just going to drop some clay in the bank. And I need to remember what item ID is. Okay, clay is item ID 6. So if we go into the bank and we go here and we grab this data and we go quantity 879 ID 6, oh no, yeah, quantity 7000 ID 6, there we go. And make this a bit bigger so it's a bit more legible. So these are kind of the various items in the bank, and over here is clay. So now that we've saved that on player 4, which happens to be the player I'm playing on, I think. Yeah, I'm on player 4. So now I should have a bunch of clay in my bank, and we can go and make 10 sets of molds, I reckon. My inventory, I think I'll bank all my stuff. I equip my spear. I can't even. Too weak. So we will now draw 15 and 10 clay. There's also a small error that I need to fix that I will show you after I know this works, and it's a funny error. But, okay. So I should now be able to select this, go make me 10. Hey, oops, I'm not showing this, I'm showing the wrong screen. Okay, sorry. Well, let me fill everyone in on what we missed. So I walked over there to the banker, the cat banker, and I found that all of my clay is in my bank. And then we came over here to our furnace, and we turned on mold creation. And as you can see, I have ring molds, and now I'm making some necklace molds. So the molds are basically these kind of low-level things that people can passively create for metalworking XP as long as they want. And the benefit for us is that we can now use these as a kind of consumable item that will get used when you create a ring or an amulet at a jewelry making table. I'd kind of gone back and forth on whether to include the molds or not, and I was about to not include the molds, but then I thought it's a little bit boring if every single item that you are crafting at a jewelry making table just needs a gold bar, silver bar, plus a gemstone, and that there's no recipe difference between a ring, amulet, or necklace, where at least now you need to bring the correct mold as well. So I think that kind of goes full circle with what I was talking about with regard to jewelry making, crafting using the furnace. Also very easy to add the ring molds to the furnace, as you can see. But now we can, without further ado, get back to what we were doing originally, which is running the adding the recipes to jewelry making. So now, as you recall, we had a specific ID and everything for the furnace, which was 23, and for jewelry we also have a special ID. So our ID is 33 for a jewelry table, the skill ID is 19, and the name is a jewelry table. Do this, make it a bit more readable. I'm just gonna run and grab a Coke real quick. Thank you. I do think molds are cool, Mom. uh, it adds a little bit of flavor to the game. Yeah, you just have to harvest clay to make the molds, but when I added the molds originally to use clay, I think the part I was struggling with was having charges of molds, which again is a abstract game design thing. I think it's a little bit better with this implementation, and yeah, look, it's very easy to change if we think the game balance wants to run it in a different way. Um, but yeah, so now jewelry table, skill ID 33, item ID 19. I can finally open up my jewelry recipe table over here. And basically, we will go silver bar, ring mold, and a topaz produces a burning ring. And this has a level requirement of 1 and produces 3 XP. You never fail to make jewelry, so drop rate over here will always be 0. This drop rate item, or this drop rate variable, is only for when the player, what's the word, can fail a task. Players could become sculptors. Yes, that's very much the idea. The idea is to allow people to role play those kind of, economic activities as well as having combat-based stuff. So it's like I'm a big fan of RuneScape and love what they've done. But I do think one of the problems with a lot of their late game bossing is, or more accurately, their late game is focused almost entirely on combat. And I don't hate that, but I do think that giving late game or high-end late game things to skilling, which is what this is, gets very interesting and allows that kind of fulfillment of the role play. So for the jewelry making skill, it's actually quite deep. So as you'll see very soon. And there we go. So once I click add, we can see the recipe show up over here in our recipe table, very nicely visualized. And yeah, now I'm just going to work through all of them. So after the ring, we have the necklace. Oh, I made a mistake. The XP is actually 6. That makes sense because this is quite a lot of items. And they're all quite, well, silver's hard to get hold of, gems are hard to get hold of. So there's definitely a component to jewelry making that is, it takes long to train. So next one, level 2, 10 XP, and this one is going to be a necklace, and the output is a merchant's necklace 8. So you'll see there are 8 necklaces here. The reason for this is they have different charges. So when you create it, you will get the fully charged version of the necklace. Obviously, that's kind of a game design idiosyncrasy, but the idea there is that a player can have a charged necklace, use some of the charges, and actually sell like a semi-charged necklace to someone else. Here we go. Next one is level requirement of 4. And just gonna make my life a little bit easier here. There we go. Sorry, I have a chart over here with the XP rates, and I'm just making it a little bit more legible. So we have silver bar, topaz, necklace mold to produce the merchant's necklace at level 2. Level 4 for 14 XP, we throw in the amulet mold, and this produces the Barkskin Amulet. One of my favorite favorite naming conventions are all about defensive necklaces, which are barkskin, iron skin, copper skin. Just really cool. Cool. So now we're going to move on to gold topaz. So we go gold bar. Get rid of the silver, get rid of the amulets, and start with the ring. And then the output for this is a thief's ring. Thief's ring 8. 618. Fantastic. And as you can see, for each gemstone, there are kind of 6 things that you can craft, specifically linked to the type of rock. Okay, next one is the necklace. And that is the chef's necklace. Level requirement of 8, giving 22 XP. These are really high XP rates. I think this is kind of cool, but very high. Level 12. No, level 10. $26 XP. Hello, Hannah. You okay? Hey! Hello, James. Thanks for the bits, buddy. Always appreciate it, bro. Hell yeah. Yeah, dude, Chef's necklace is a big money necklace because it lowers the amount of burn you take, or lowers the amount of food you burn. Hello, Win, biddy boy. As you can see, when I went back and forth with the molds, I had an existential crisis and decided to bring molds back. Also, I thought, like, let's try the game balance with molds and then see if we want to remove them rather than preemptively remove them, if that makes sense. It's easier to take away than it is to add. So I thought, let me add now rather than have the trouble of doing it later. You want to talk to the microphone? Okay. You can say hello to Uncle Win. How about that? But very quickly. And then Mummy must come help me. Mummy! Mummy! Come help. Say hello. Say hello, hello. What must I try? Speak into the microphone. Do you want me to say anything specific? Yeah. What must I say? On the microphone. Mama loves Hannah and Daddy. There we go. Cool. Sorry. You're very cute. But come, let's go watch. Daddy needs to work. I think nobody complains for a little Hannah interruption. Yes, and you got your passport today. Hold on. My passport. Yes, you got your passport. Mommy has your passport. Yes, let me show you. Okay, awesome. Back to the scheduled broadcasting after that wonderful bit of fun. So as you can see, we now have to add the gold amulet. So we go to the mold, swap out this ingredient for that one, check the amulet, which is the Goblin Amulet, one of our teleportation amulets, put that in there. Level requirement on this is 10 with 26 XP already. Fantastic. As you can see, you can start seeing the level scaling happening over here, which is quite nice. And yeah, this is actually Topaz done now. So now we're going to jump onto Alexandrite and back to silver. So put this in here, get a silver bar, get rid of those, and start with a ring mold, and try and speed up a little bit so that I can do what all of this, which amounts to data entry, but at least it's kind of nicely visualized over here. So this is going to let us build a prospector's ring, and we're going to need level 12 with 30 experience to do that. And then we're going to add a necklace, which is called an archer's necklace, that needs level 14 and gives us 34. And then we're going to grab the amulet, and the type of amulet is a Treebane amulet, which needs level 16 and grants us 38 XP. There we go. Now we're going to move on to gold bars. Get rid of silver. Gonna grab our ring mold. This is a squire's ring. Also just one of my favorite rings thematically. And the squire's ring is 18 and gives us 42 XP. Are you okay, Hannah? Now, necklace mold. And this is a necklace of insight, which is actually one of the better in-game necklaces, which is level 20 and gives us 46 XP. And then we're going to do a Ptolemaic amulet, one of the harder harder to pronounce items in the game, definitely with the PT, which is always, I think, a little bit difficult if you don't know that it's referencing Egyptian King Ptolemy, who is quite an interesting character historically, and I'm a fan of. And this is 22 with 50 XP. And there we go. That is all of Alexandrite, as you can see. Also, by the way, I think if you're very clever, you'll realize why it's Alexandrite used to create the Ptolemaic amulet, if you remember the Library of Alexandria, and its links to the ruler Ptolemy. Ptolemy the legend. Oh, James, you're too kind. Thank you for helping me meet my bits goal today. Hashtag Team Beard Meets Code sponsored by Chosen Code. Thanks, buddy. Really appreciate it. Cool. Now we're doing tourmaline, the angriest color, and by angry I mean pink. Code gang. Hell yeah, brother. And this ring is a ring of sparks. So I actually had quite a lot of fun with the naming around the DPS rings, because my idea was that I wanted to imply this kind of fire and fury to them. So there's definitely a fire theme ongoing with the DPS rings, which is quite fun. So this is the wizard's necklace. Should be called the Grief necklace at this point. 2658 on the wizard one. And then we're actually going to come back to one of my favorite naming conventions with copper skin. Ooh, I see a mistake I made. I'm going to note that. I'm not going to break out here. I'm going to write a little note. Copper skin amulets, wrong sprite. As you can see, this is the same sprite as our, so if I type wizard's necklace and the copper skin amulets have the same sprite over here, but they have different item IDs. This is 1064, that's 1062. So I will correct that later, but we can put this output in because when we correct it, we'll keep the same item ID, which will mean that the recipe will still work. So we just need to make sure that this is the amulet. In fact, actually, to make sure that we do this correctly, I'm going to do the correction right now, and then it just gives me an opportunity to also showcase what it looks like to make a change like that. It's pretty quick. So first thing we're going to do, this is the jewelry table we've been making so far. As you can see, here are all of our recipes nicely in order, with everything done up to the second one in tourmaline. We're going to save this, and we're going to save this in our skill objects function, and we're going to save this as 33 underscore jewelry table. And if I'm not mistaken, now if I go to my JSONs, I have 33. Fantastic. So I can now go to the item generator. And in here, let's just do that. Cool. So I love this item generator. I know it's like sloppy looking, but I'm very proud of it for silly reasons. It just works very well for what I need. So now here I can go copper skin amulet, load it up, and all the data will load in. And then we can just quickly change the sprite to the correct one, which is that one, and save it. There we go. Simple as that. And we didn't actually change any data, so I don't have to change it server side because the sprites are completely client side. Yeah, it does have that handmade charm. Thanks, James. Yeah. But you know, like, I think the trick is it's when you build your own tools, you can also fall in love with them. I think if anyone does like woodworking or something and you build like a custom chisel or something for a specific purpose, and then like your custom tool ends up being so nice for you because it's custom, right? It's like no other tool's gonna do what I need better than the tool I made for that specific purpose, but at the same time, the tool I made for that specific purpose only works for that thing. So that's kind of the trade-off. The real question when building these kinds of auxiliary tools is, you know, how much do you expect to use them, and is it going to be worth it? Now, for building an MMORPG, almost always. Great, so now we can hop back to our recipe generator. Just big screen this here. Type in jewelry table. Fantastic. Everything loaded up again, as you can see. Now we should be able to go over here and grab tourmaline, silver bar, amulet mold. And the amulet we are dealing with is Copper skin. Ha! Everything working now. Level requirement. 28, and the XP requirement is 62. So there we go. Brilliant. Time to jump to gold bars. With enough levers, Damascus will move. Yeah, no, 100%, dude. Oh, what was it? Was it Aristotle or Plato? Give me a large enough lever and I will move the world. Good old physics joke. So get rid of that. So this is 30 with 66, and the ring mold, and this is Inlandian ring. Necklace mold, Saint's necklace, and that's going to be 3270. You know, I also think the molds are fine from a game dev perspective, taking up a full inventory slot, because it does slow jewelry down ever so slightly, but the XP rates here are so great. I think that's fine. Like, I look at that and I'm like, this is appropriate. So it's like you can't make things too quick. This isn't Easyscape. Molds, and this is going to be the High Seas amulet, and that's going to be 34 and give us 74 experience points. Brilliant. So that is all of our topaz, alexandrite, and tourmaline. And now we can move on to tanzanite. So tanzanite, silver, these. This is a swift ring. Only 4 charges in the swift ring, otherwise it's too strong. This fully restores your run energy when it hits 0, but reduces a charge each time it does. Very, very useful ring. Hence the high value. I like it where it sits from a game balance perspective. 36 level requirements, so you can start building them pretty quickly. And they give you 78 XP. So these are nice. I think they should be quite profitable things to make early game when the game, like, as this, you know, in that early rush when the game starts. So necklace. This is Samson's necklace. 38, 82. Hey, thanks for subscribing, James. Really appreciate it, bud. 3 months in advance. Holy hell, dude. Appreciate the investment. I'll be sure to get you a beer next time I see you. Well, you don't really drink, but okay, no beer then. We'll go have an ice cream. I'm only trolling. Let's see. Why not beer and ice cream? We have beer ice cream float. It's disgusting. Okay, Okay, cool. Doctharian Amulet, level requirement 40, 86 XP. Only one though, yeah. I think you drink one beer ice cream float, you're gonna be pretty sick. I don't think milk and beer mix very well. I once saw a tequila margarita float. I think that was fine. Still wasn't the best, but it was kind of like a margarita put on top of a beer. But yeah, is what it is. 4 out of 10. Um, ooh, this is also one of my favorite items in the game, Lucky Ring. Should be illegal, dude. Should be illegal. So Lucky Ring is just a stat boosting ring, but I just like the idea of you know, it's like +4 to overall stats. Lucky Ring. Cool. Necklace mold. Sacred necklace. 44.94. Amulet molds. Farmer's amulets. And you are 46 with 98. Sweet. So these are kind of the 4 more common gems, the lesser gems, as you can see. And that takes us up to 46 jewelry making, and these are all pretty useful items. And quite a lot of recipes. So the jewelry table, I'm wondering how many tabs I'm going to break it up to. Because one option is to do a tab for, I suppose it could be rings, amulets, and that makes the most sense. Because then each tab has its own sense of progression. I like that. Okay, cool. So next one is sapphires. And these are kind of your more classic gemstones. And this one is our next DPS ring, so it's our Ring of Ember. 48, 102. I think I'm pretty much level. Let me just make sure. I think level goes up by 2 and XP goes up by 4. Pretty much all the way. Let me just double check. Yeah, that is exactly what happens. With everything going up by 2 until level 94 and jumps to 99 for the last 2. Okay. Admittedly, I don't know how to make the last 2, so they're not going on the jewelry making table anyway. There was a way to make them, I've forgotten. Or they might need an item that I don't yet have because they have black gemstones. And there you can actually see that's the Ring of Power. As you can see, it has a black gemstone. It's supposed to be an onyx. I'm assuming onyx is a drop or something of that nature, or the entire ring is dropped. I must confer with the Honorable Windham to remember exactly what happens, because our game design doc is sparse on exactly what's cooking there. Cool, but that is the Ring of Ember. Necklace mold. So this is the Cactorian necklace. And this is again one of my favorites, the Iron Skin amulet, continuing the kind of theme that we had going. So, oh, this is one of my favorite rings, the hibachi ring. So the idea of the hibachi ring is, and again, if anyone knows hibachi's that kind of live cooking thing. It's not specifically seafood, but a lot of the time it's seafood. So with our version, the hibachi ring is a ring that will automatically cook fish that you catch. Obviously good for 8 fish. So kind of super useful. I mean, well, not super useful. Kind of fringe, but might be something you'd bring into a raiding type environment to have the ability to cook things straight up. Um, I think that's at least the intended use. I gotta look into it. But it's a funny item. I think it's also fine to have items that are just funny, because this is funny. Uh, and again, it's got uses for Iron Men, right? Yeah, it's as fresh as it gets. um, cool. This is the priest necklace. This is our next healing necklace. And then I think it is the smith's amulet. And that is sapphires. So, just taking 1 second. Cool. So now we're going to add emerald. And I think the molds was a good decision because, again, there's something you create at the low level and they're actually used all the way through to kind of 99. So they're going to be relatively good money makers for low level players because high level players definitely won't want to be creating molds, and you know, low level players, it'll be a nice way to get pretty AFK um, metalworking experience while getting some cash. So I think that's going to be pretty good. Dominion ring, the ring of my namesake. So this is the ring which will teleport you to Dominia, which is a fun town, must recommend. I'm not only recommending because I'm named after it. The necklace here is Life's necklace. So again, this is actually one of my favorite items by name. What the item does is if you're about to die, it will teleport you to the starting zone. A little bit of save you from death scenario. The lore behind the necklace is called Life's necklace. It was a death to the god of life. Sorry, it was a gift to the god of life from the god of death, and the god of life cherished the gift, and hence why it saves you. Um, I've always liked it thematically. And this will be 62 and give you 130 XP. This is another one of my this is kind of one of my favorite items. Win hates it, but I've always thought it interesting. So this is the Amulet of Suffering. This item gives you negative 150 to all of your stats, which is terrible. It's the worst item in the game. But the idea I've always had for it is that this item is going to be needed in order to access a specific dungeon. And the idea is that if you take the item off in the dungeon, it'll immediately teleport you out. So you have to complete the dungeon wearing this negative 150 stat debuff. So quite an aggressive debuff, but obviously what you get in exchange for that aggression is the ability to do this dungeon. Then it will put pretty cool we'll put some pretty cool loot at the end of the dungeon to compensate for the challenge. Persephone type vibe. I'm not sure what Persephone type vibe means. You're gonna have to fill me in on that one. Ring of Competence. 66138. Daniel's necklace. $68. 142. Greek mythology, Shanti got kidnapped into hell. Oh, Persephone. Okay, damn, I misread that bad. I misread that bad. Look, in my defense, chat is quite small in the like lower because I've got my computer, my laptop screen over here, which has the camera. It's quite low. I was like Persephone, and that's funny because Persephone is Persephone. I'm gonna call her Persephone from now on because that's a way better way to pronounce it. Obviously intentionally wrong, but hey. Another one. I've got to admit the emerald items are fire. Like half of these emerald jewelry items are just I dig. So this is the Punk's amulet, which teleports you to Punk Hazard, which is also just a great item. And if I'm not mistaken, that is emeralds. So we only have ruby and diamond left, and then that is jewelry making. With the exception of whatever I need to do for the Ring of Power and the Amulet and the Divine Amulet, which are the two strongest items in the game, and I think have special requirements. But let's grab rubies. This is another one of our DPS rings. This is the Fire Ring. Good day of smithing. Yeah. So this is going to be 72, 150. Necklace mold. So this is the Berserker's necklace. And 154. And we will have to try and make a ring and a necklace and actually test this all out. See if we can wear something. Because that should be pretty cool. I'm not actually sure how much of that is set up because I do think I have to tweak some stuff, but that's exciting. Okay, Berserker necklace is 74, 154. Here we go. Okay, amulet mold. This is another one of our skin series amulets, defensive amulets. This is the steel skin amulet. An amulet said to make the wielder's skin as strong as steel. There we go. So this is now the scavenger's ring. So now what we need is the necklace mold, and that is going to give us access to the Pontifex necklace. Here's another. I'm sure James will love this. This is some good old Roman naming conventions. Just be gentle with the cat, huh? Yes. Yeah, she's purring. She's purring because she's happy. When you're gentle, she's happy. Yeah. See? Yeah, be gentle and the cat will purr. Mm. So the scavenger's ring is 78, which means the Pontifex necklace is made at level 80. Rome is still alive in our hearts. You know, it's like that meme, how often does your husband slash boyfriend think of the Roman Empire? I think of the Roman Empire a lot, man. At least once a week. At least once a week. Maybe even once every 3 days. And I'm just being real. So Pontifex necklace is quite a high level one. At level 80 to craft. Hello, Hannah. Nope, nope, nope. Please don't touch my mouse. Yes, I will come and play as soon as I'm done streaming. Daddy's almost done. I just want to get this last bit in. Oops. Come, Hannah? No, you're not allowed to touch Daddy's mouse. Too much? I require assistance. Uh, yes, you are touching your dad. This is fine. Just don't touch my mouse. Silly. She's 2. She's testing boundaries. It's very cute. But yes, I'll come now. I'm almost done. I'm almost done. I just want to add 6 more items and finish this work. So, level 82, 170 experience points, golden amulet. Okay, just need to do diamonds and then we can save this, and I can feel like I'm probably going to call it a stream once I've saved it, which means I still need to do the placement and testing. But we'll see where we're at as that kind of gets done. But taking it one step at a time. Sweet. Diamond ring. Ring mold. And the diamond ring is called a magma ring. Yes, it is our final DPS ring. $84, $174. And it's a silver bar. Necklace. So this is Death's necklace. This necklace will allow you to keep a certain number of items when you die. And this is... No, actually, that's the scavenger's necklace. Oh, Death's necklace increases your destruction when it depletes fully, and it'll do this 4 times. And the lore behind this is that this necklace was a gift from life to death, and he cherished it so. And hence why we have kind of these mirrored pairs. Obviously, this necklace is a little bit stronger, sitting at the higher tier of kind of creation. So we put that as our output. Necklace mold. Death's necklace is made at 86 and has a 178 XP reward. So, amulet. This is a shield bearer amulet. It is the best tank amulet in the game. Very useful. Level 88 to make it. 182 XP drop. And now we have a final 3 ones. Ring of Favor at 90. Very powerful stat boosting ring. Then we have David's necklace. Also very powerful stat boosting item. And finally, we have an Enchanter's amulet, which allows you to craft Damascus with a 10% chance. Obviously, probably need to balance that more appropriately to the difficulty of beating the Yeti, but very, very strong when everything's considered. And that is built at level 94 and gives us 194 XP. We can do that. And there we go. This, as you can see now, is our jewelry making skill, and as you can actually watch from the top, you can see level over here, ingredients, what we can make, level requirements increasing with XP rewards increasing. You can kind of see the balance kind of materializing in front of your eyes. And then, yeah, now all we need to do is save this table. So we save this, and we're going to save this as our jewelry making table, replace the existing one, and that's it. Here we go. So now, the next step is to actually add it to the game using our skill placement system. I'm just going to go to the bathroom real quick. But, if I'm not mistaken, it does look like we have everything in the actual... Thanks, James. Yeah, dude, I'm also happy with them. I'm going to check code view here. So this is now our table JSON. It's actually quite massive because it has all of the recipes. But yeah, as you can see, that is everything. So pretty happy with that. Let's go back here. So I'm just going to go to the bathroom real quick, and then I think we'll see if we can sneak in placing this table. Or actually, let's see. I've been streaming for an hour 20. I think this is a pretty good time to call it a day. I think this is a pretty successful stream. Thank you so much for subscribing and hanging out the whole time. Nice to have it in the XP table, not in a list in code, yeah. Thanks, Win. Yeah, thanks for watching the stream, thanks for hanging out. It's been a vibe, and yeah, I'm going to call it a day, and probably will try and do this a lot more regularly. And yeah, pretty chuffed with the progress of adding to jewelry. Chat to you guys later.